What up? What up? It's your boy H2O, your potential conditioner. Welcome back to another episode of the New Balance Podcast. What up, fam? It's so good to be with you. I don't know if you're listening or if you're watching. I just want to say hello and just thank you so much for your support, for your love, for your prayers. You guys are so special to me, and I really appreciate you making this happen. There's no way I could do it by myself. So I always like to just start off by shouting out those faithful listeners and those faithful viewers. Now today, we are already in motion. We started a new series entitled Education from the Inside Out. And I'm going to tell you, man, the first two episodes is heavy. It's heavy, man. It is heavy. And today, it's not going to be any different. Listen, I don't know what you see on the screen, but look, I'm telling you, I have some world-class weightlifters on here. Yes, I said it. World-class weightlifters. Don't let they looks fool you, especially the one at the bottom, man. He's quiet, but he's an assassin. The one upstairs, I think, she might have been trained by a YP man or something. I don't know, but y'all gonna get it today. No, just all Josh. No, we have two gyms on, and I don't want to waste any more time. We want to dive right in, and I want you, New Balance podcast audience, show some love to my sister Keisha Bussy. Show some love to Miss Keisha. What up, Keisha? How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Man, I'm so glad to have you on. We've been talking about this, and now you're here. And then at the bottom, we have he would be like the anchor on the relay. And y'all know who the anchor is on the relay. When they get the stick, they take the thing to the house. Show some love for my big bro downstairs, Jonathan Hamilton. What up, JH?
What's up, man? Thank you for having me, bro.
Oh man, man, I'm like a horse in the stall ready to get at it today. Like I said, we jumped off with this series, Education from the Inside Out. And if you watched part one or part two, I had a whole host of, I had principals, assistant principals, teachers, coaches that were on. And we went behind the scenes of some things as it relates to education. I said on that podcast, and I want to say it on this one, it was in Apollo 13 when communication got back to the tower. The word was, Houston, we have a problem. And we know here in the city of Houston and surrounding areas, we have a problem. But bigger than that, it's not just Houston. This is a nationwide problem. And I don't want to talk and say problem in such just a bad way. It's something that we have to address. And I'll use the same scenario I used on the other podcast. If your child comes home and they made all D's in their report cards in all six subjects, I don't necessarily think that's a bad report card. What I would consider a bad report card if they made D's the whole year and never made any changes to the grades. Because I understand there are seasons, there are moments, and maybe the kid just had a bad 6 weeks, right? Maybe the kid was studying, maybe the kid was at class every day, maybe the kid went to tutorials, but they just didn't have enough to get over the hump, and so they brought D's home. So as a good parent, like, hey, we're going to put a plan in place. We're going to get these D's up to the best possible grade that you can make, right? When we look at education as a whole and the things that we're seeing, the fallout of it, I would say the same thing. We find ourselves with a report card full of D's, right? And I think those of us who are tied in and those of us who care, I think it's our responsibility, not the state of Texas, not our governor, not our lieutenant governor, not the powers that be. It's up to us as families and it's up to us as communities to come together, put our resources together, put our minds together, put our ideas together. Why? Because it's about the kids that we educate. We want them to have the best. So we have a responsibility to do some things. Now, there are some things that the school can do better, right? We'll agree on that. But before we start giving them our list of things that we want them to do, let's just start with us. because we know um, going through COVID, going through everything that's happened over the last 2.5 years, it's been hard, not only on families, but it's been hard on teachers, school, everybody. And so we got back into the swing of things and we saw just how bad it was during those times. So, in order for us to regain our footing or our positioning, we know there's some specific things that we'll have to do. So, where I want to dive in is I want to start with Keisha, and I want her to just kind of first just talk about um, her 21 years of teaching. Talk about where she's teaching and her focus is now, and then we'll jump to Jonathan to find out what he's doing in his career as a teacher, and then I want to just throw some things out and we'll go from there. So, Keisha, if you could just give us a little history on who you are, how long you've been teaching. I think I just said that for you, but tell us a little bit about your teaching experience and your
So,
passion.
okay. Hi, my name is Keisha D. Bussey, and I am an educator. I've been teaching since what, about 21 years in
Okay.
education, but I started as a paraprofessional, which is an assistant at school while I was starting college. So basically, I started going in and being a paraprofessional and helping bilingual students. I was a bilingual aide when I first started with the district. Then I became a teacher. So I got my experience in being with a bilingual students. And what caught my attention is because I am from the Valley, I'm from Harlingen, and I've always wanted to be a translator, right? So I helped the ESL learners and I studied it, which I am ESL certified. So I wanted to help the Hispanics um, understand ESL, English as a second language. So that would draw me closer in education at the time. But I also have a passion of love of dance. But during the time that I started education, they never had any job openings for dance teachers. So I studied and I went to school, graduated, became a kindergarten teacher. So, of course, I love reading and writing. So I said, okay, Lord, you want me with the babies first to teach them how to read and write. So that was the jumpstart kickoff for me as being a classroom teacher. So then I went to kinder, I did first, second, third, fourth. So I experienced the elementary level. Then transitioning in to a GT teacher, which is a gifted and talented teacher, slash also helped with special ed. So I really touched base with all education, right? I've touched many lives of all children in different, backgrounds, subjects, teaching and learning at the same time. Then that's when the transition went on to be, oh, they have a dance position available. Got excited. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I said, Lord, if this is your will, let it be done. And I got the position. So with that being said, now I teach dance. I'm an elementary dance teacher. I collaborated with all my colleagues with elementary dance teachers and high school to do a dance curriculum because we never had a dance curriculum. So now we do have a dance curriculum in my district. So that was amazing. I was able to be on that team to help bring out what we're going to be teaching in dance and stuff, just not dancing. We need to know, they need to know the history of dance or how these learners are going to be learning in our dance rooms. Besides the content, we need to do the ancillary, which we call ancillary or we call specials, that how are we going to be involved with the students and the teachers, and we have to still collaborate together as one to make the students be, well educated of all. So I do teach at a performing arts school, which is amazing. It's not like just a regular school. We have violin, we have dance, we have art, we have drama, we have also technology. We have the library. We have, social skills. There's so much things that we do at our school that it's amazing to help learners, elementary learners, become very successful once they leave fifth grade. They could pretty much decide, okay, I want to do this for my specials. For my special, my passion is ballet, or my passion may be violin, or my passion may be art. So we teach them young. Yeah, we teach them real young so they could know exactly what they want to do when they get older. So teaching has definitely been my stronghold, throughout the 21 years in education. So I've seen it all. I've heard it all. I experienced it all. I mean, I'm not the perfect teacher, but at the same time, we learn through our mistakes. And I've had my leaders who have guided me throughout the years, become a better educator. So there's still some learning to go because so much has changed since COVID. And we need to stay on it because we still have to educate these babies because they're behind. They're behind. With that, COVID has left a lot of students, especially the kinder and the pre-K elementary students, they're behind in reading. And of course, reading, you have to know how to read.
Absolutely.
You have to. In the elementary, you have to learn how to read and write. If you don't know how to read, there's no way you're going to read that math problem because you don't know what it says.
Absolutely.
So I applaud all parents who help their children learn how to read, even though they're not at school. Sometimes, the parents could, come in, oh, this is what my child is the learner. She's reading this book or what have you. And with that being said, I created, I'm an author now of Chance to Dance book.
Yes.
And I said, you know what? I need my dancers. They need to have something too, to guide them. They need to know exactly what my struggles were as a child as well. It wasn't always peachy and creamy and stuff. We didn't have the money, and, for me to go to dance class, but my parents found a way for me to actually attend school and dance school. And then I just, grew from that. So with that being said, reading and writing and being in my dance class, I wanted my students to experience that. Like, you don't have to have much money to dance. There's so many different things that you can get. You can get a scholarship, you can go to different dance schools and they have funding, that they can help you with. But at the same time, you are being educated because you're being responsible. You're being a responsible student. You know exactly what is expected in the classroom. And then when you come to the dance studio, you know what's expected there too. So it's just teaching them how to become a better student and a better learner at the same time.
Oh, incredible. Incredible. Wow, you really laid that out. And after Jonathan goes, I'm gonna come back and we're gonna dissect some of that. But I need to say this. I said it on the last podcast. Like, I know Jonathan was listening, especially in the beginning. Like, it's no way possible I could articulate this podcast and putting you two on at the same time. Just based off of what you said, I already know some of the similarities that you and Jonathan have in common in terms of your teaching professions. So I wanted to say that before he starts to talk. And so throughout the rest of this podcast, you're going to be able to see the correlation, even though you guys have never met each other, you'd never talked. Watch the correlation of your careers and what your passions are in life. So I just wanted to say that before Jonathan went. It'll give more validity once he begins to talk. Go ahead, JH.
Well, my teaching journey began out of college. So out of college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I had a philosophy degree. It ain't too much you can do with a philosophy degree. And so in April, before I graduated in May, I got an email about working at a nonprofit. It's a literacy enrichment program called Freedom School. And so basically it takes kids from Sunnyside, South Park, the North Side, underprivileged children, and teaches them the value of literacy. It's a literacy enrichment program. And so I interviewed with the panel of the board of directors, and they hired me. And so I get there as a literacy teacher the first day. And I know nothing about teaching, right? I know nothing about differentiating education. I know nothing about how to teach a kid how to read, nothing about any of that. And so, to be honest, I spent most of my summer chasing kids around, yelling at them for not reading, right? I didn't, but I liked it. You know, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the interaction with the kids. I enjoyed us growing together, you know, and every day I remember leaving, I was tired. I was tired because I had given myself, you know, and I was making $600 a check. So I'm getting like 300 a week for this, right? But I liked it. And so I said, I want to be a teacher. And so on my journey, I began working an after school program in HISD for elementary. And that kind of built the fire. And so that was my first time being in an actual school. And I'm around teachers. I hear our teachers talk. I hear how the day goes. I'm around it, right? And so I said, okay, this is cool. You know, this after school program, but it's part time. I need to get into a classroom. So I switched my job at in HISD. I went to interview for a sub position. And so I became a sub, and I was kind of moving around to different elementaries and some high schools and stuff like that in HISD. And then I landed at Welch Middle School. And funny story about Welch, I went there for an assignment, and the day I got there, a kid stole my phone, right? I got my phone stolen. First I got there, I got my phone stolen. And I remember being in the front office, and the kid had left or whatever. And the principal at the time was like, we understand if you don't want to come back, and we, you know, this, that, and that. I was like, no, I'll be back tomorrow. And so I eventually gained a long-term sub position there, right? Just from being there every day. And being in the classroom, I started developing relationships with the kids, right? I wasn't in there necessarily teaching content per se, but I knew that they respected me. I knew I enjoyed being in there, and I could see myself doing it. So I started the process of getting my certification, got my certification, and then the following year, in 2018, I worked as a sixth grade English teacher. I was fortunate enough to, I won New Teacher of the Year my first year there, and I spent 2 years there. The second year I was there, I was a Teacher of the Year finalist. So it was a fruitful time. A lot of the teachers I still communicate with to this day. And then I moved to Lamar Junior High in Lamar Consolidated Independent School District, where I'm at right now as a 7th and 8th grade English teacher. Also, I'm a basketball coach. I'm an 8th grade 18 basketball coach. We went to district this year. We lost by 6. But taking those boys, they didn't win a game the year before. And we lost our first 3 games, you know, which is, so we had a crazy turnaround all the way to the district title, and just seeing just kind of like the transformation in their mind of like, from seeing themselves as losers and getting blown out and feeling less than to the other teams in the district, because I have a similarity to Ms. Bussey here in that I work in a largely Hispanic school. So my school is 70% Hispanic. So when you talk about ESL and stuff, I'm very familiar with that. And we have a very underserved population, a very just low income. So in our district, it's really the haves and have-nots, because it's a lot of well-to-do schools, and we kind of get treated like the armpit of the school of the district to some degree. So to see those boys go against schools where they don't have the same advantages, and we were beating them, it was like, man, I could see them starting to believe that they're of value and they're equal, you know, because in my school, we deal with a lot of like self-hate. And when we talk about our school in a negative way, we talk about how poor we are, how the school is old, and how the kids are dumb, and how the teachers suck, and we do this thing, right? We do this thing a lot. And then we get out and then we compete against other schools, and we take that insecurity and it shows. Mm-hmm. So my mission while I've been there is just to show kids like being at Lamar is something to be proud of. Mm-hmm. You know, you ain't less than, you have just as much talent, ability, intelligence. You have all of that, and hopefully, you know, I'm leaving my mark with them. So that's kind of my education journey.
I love it. I love it. Now, I just found out today about Keisha's education. I knew your story, but as she was talking, I'm like, okay, I see this. So I think this would be the perfect way for us to segue into the conversation. I think it's important that both of you took the time to share your experience. What I want the viewer and the listener to see is, first off, I have two teachers, two educators on here who love what they do.
Mhm.
I'm gonna just sit that there for a moment. Um, I remember when I was coaching my son Little League. It was some of the best times. Not the win-loss record, but me and him having that experience. Well, it came to the time where I knew I couldn't do it anymore because of my work assignment. The blessing of it was I was able to pass him off, not to another father, but just to another coach who was just as passionate and cared as much as I did. And then I got to see him continue to get what I was giving him. For parents, that should be your hope and your prayer that when I drop little Susie off or little Johnny off, that whoever's in those hallways, whoever are in those classrooms, that the things that I'm teaching them at home, the things that I'm pushing them to do, that it will be a reflection of that on the campus and that it will be a continuation of it, right? And so when you listen to Jonathan, when you listen to Keisha talk, hear them talk about how passionate they are about the areas of education where they educate. That's the thing that we all should be pushing towards, and that's what we should um, want and have. I made it. I can't remember if I made the statement part one and part two, but I wrote this down by saying, "What a difference a teacher makes." Right now, he made reference to what he got paid, but the reference wasn't in conjunction with how he's balling out. The reference was made to show that even though I was being paid this, that really was looking at it now. I was like, oh my God, that's what they were paying me. But it didn't matter to him. That's what he was getting paid because he found the thing that he loved. Right. So if you can ever get a person in the place where they're passionate about everything, those other things will fall into place. It's like, well, why are you sharing that? I thought we want to talk about some of the things that have to address. That's one of the first things that we have to address. We have to get back to the place where from the home pipeline to the school, we got to rebuild the trust in the school and the teachers that are there, right? Now, am I saying that every teacher there are the two teachers that I have on here? I'm not saying that, right? I'm not. But there are teachers on campus that care. They're like the teachers that we have on. We have to find a way where we can reconnect because there has been a bridge in the relationship between parent and teacher, right? We know there was a time, and I know I'm older than the both of you. That was a time when I grew up. If the teacher sent a note home, or if they call home, when my mom came to the school, it was like the teacher and my mom against me. In other words, my mom was like, okay, what is he not doing? What do I need to do to fix this problem? In the day that we live now, when that happens, you have the parent and the kid against the teacher. I'm saying it's an issue. It's a serious issue. So I want you guys to talk about it. Um, you may have never had to deal with it. You may know others who have dealt with it, but I want, from a teacher standpoint, talk to me about what is it that you need from parents and from homes in terms of helping you educate, strengthen, motivate their child. Talk to us. Whoever wants to go first, because I want to talk about some of the tough things. It's been a tough year, and so with it been a tough couple of years, we need to talk about the things that have been tough.
Um, that's a loaded question. What do
Yeah,
we
it is.
need? I mean, I think on the most basic, the foundational level, we just need we need active participation. You know, I think, I try to be sensitive to parents because I realize sometimes for parents, school wasn't a great place for them.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so it can be um, it can be kind of touch and go. But I think it starts an open house. Just on a practical level, it starts an open house because that's the person really interacting with you. Come to open house, see my syllabus, see what my room looks like, see what I look like. You know what I mean? Like let's talk a little bit. Like let's kick it. Let's sit down. That way you know who your kid is around every day or who they're dealing with, and you can kind of, you know, be a judge of character. So that way, when I am calling, saying so and so, you know, is underperforming or is acting up or whatever, you know where my heart is. You know, because a lot of times it's combative because you think that either it's one or two reasons. I've had parents who believe that their child is incapable of doing wrong.
Yep.
Or some parents are just so tired of getting calls because as a teacher, you gotta realize sometimes a kid might get 3 calls in a day. You ain't the first person to call that parent.
Right.
So, you know, I've gotten blocked by parents. I've gotten, you know, they blocked the school. And when you do that, you're kind of communicating to your child that like whatever you do over there is your business.
Mm-hmm.
It's not our business. So I think usually for most schools, open houses within the first 3 or 4 weeks.
Yes. I'm so glad you said that. I want to interject before you go, Keisha. Now, let me ask you this question. Are you a parent, Jonathan?
For your daughter.
Yeah. So you're more than just a teacher. You're a parent yourself, right?
Yeah. And a
okay.
husband.
And say it again.
And a husband.
And a husband. Okay. So all right. So you are a husband. You are a father, and then you're a teacher. Now watch this. I'm so glad you brought up the open house. This is why I want to have the tough conversations. I wonder, do we treat everything else like we treat the open house or the opportunities we have to connect with teachers? Let me give you a case in point. So you're middle school, right, Jonathan?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when little Johnny goes out for football, he makes the team. I make sure he goes to every practice. Whatever the coach say I need to buy, whatever cliques, whatever training outside of school the coach says I need to put him in, I make sure he's there. And then I go watch him play on Wednesday or Thursdays. I come to the game and I actively participate, whether he plays or not. Mm-hmm. In other words, I show up to show my support. And you should. Everything I just talked about, you should do it. If you have the means, if you have the time, you should do it. My point is this: meeting the classroom teacher is just as important. My point is we have to have the same effort across the board. It can't be where I deem it's important or where the child deems it more importantly. Now, you know, if you compare those apples and oranges in terms of the classroom being the apple, I'm telling you, the apples are way lower than the oranges are. And in my humble opinion, I think it's about what matters, right? I know we live in a day now where we have so much technology and so much information. I'll say it, some parents just feel, well, hey, yeah, thank God for the teacher there, but you know, the other stuff, whatever, if that's not happening, I can just help you get it at home. And we know that's not the case. And then when we have that approach, we set the child up for failure, because now you're teaching them how to have relationships and how to deal with relationships. So if you don't honor this relationship of the teacher, why should they honor it? So you started off with a problem because we model the wrong thing. So when a situation arises and you really do need to talk to the parent and the child, because they hadn't shown the same interest in the area that's most important, which is the classroom, and they put things like sports and extracurricular activities or whatever else you got going on in life over that, the kid can't help but have the same feeling towards it. It's just an example. It's just an example because I want us to think. Sometimes you can be so caught up and busy and doing things. Some of it can just be routine. And then some of it could be, I may not even mean to be giving that off, but because you are the leader in the family, that's what you're giving off. I promise you, you can tell your kids all day long about cleaning up and folding clothes. But if you ain't never modeled it for them, if you ain't never showed them how to fold them towels, if you ain't never showed them how to mow the grass, they can go out there and try, but kids work best when they see us model it. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me pass it to Keisha. I just want to interject that there because what you said, I agree. I absolutely agree with you. But I want the listener and the viewer to walk away like, I want them thinking whether this is you or not. Like we have, and I'm gonna keep saying we. I'll never point the finger because I had to go through this same thing. Go ahead, Keisha.
Well, I just want to piggyback up what he said as well, the open house. The
Mhm.
open house is very important because when you're at the open house, is letting the parents know, okay, we're going to be a family for this whole year.
Absolutely.
We got to communicate. We're going to
Mhm.
go on Class Dojo or what have you, whatever they have to connect, because your child is my child for the whole year. And I want your child to be learning in my classroom. And whatever's happening in the classroom, I need to know that it's okay for me to correct your child in the right way, but also connect with you and let you know, okay, what's going on at home. So that way I can deal with it at school if it needs to be dealt with. Because sometimes the students come to school and they may come sleepy, right? For instance, tired. Okay, what happened? What's going on? Oh, I had to be with my little brother up at night or something. Can I go take a nap, Miss Bussy? I'm tired. So in your head, you're like, the child does need to get rest, but at the same time, the child needs to learn stuff. So you have to know what to do, how to do it, and how to connect with the parent. Because if we don't know what's happening at home, we don't know how to help the child. We don't want to know everything that's going on at home, right?
Absolutely.
But we also need to have a connection to where when we're in open house, you should give like a about me, like what's your favorite color, what's your favorite animal, what's your favorite book, or what have you, so you can learn about the child as well. So when you come into the classroom, okay, if we do this certain activity, then we could all connect together, what have you. But at the same time, open house is very important because that's when you get to meet the parent, you get to meet the student, and then you can go on from there, because you don't want to ever hear like another teacher say, oh, well, Johnny was such and such like this in my classroom, but he's not in your classroom this year no more. So I want to meet the person that he is and the parent of who they are, So it's just like a good presentation, but at the same time, you have to have that connection with the students in that open house. And we're about to have another open house because we do a spring one as well. So we have some new students coming on our campus, and for him to even speak on that, that's amazing, because when you get some other students on your campus, you have to meet them. You have to meet their parents. You have to see what's going on. So you can have in your head, okay, this is what's going to happen in the agenda for the first 9 weeks. Because in the first 9 weeks, it's classroom procedures and it's also discipline, and expectations in the classroom. There is no doing other stuff. No, this is the procedure. And what you said is model. You have to model for them what you expect them to do when you enter into your classroom. Model to them what is the expectations, the rules, the expectations, especially the rules. What are the rules? These are the rules. And they also come up with their own classroom rules, because you want them to also be involved in making up the classroom rules. At least we do that in elementary. So that way they are accountable of knowing the classroom rules and expectations. They know exactly how to enter into the dance studio. They know how to sit down and start stretching in the dance room. So I had to demonstrate to them my expectations of what it is expected in the dance studio. Now, in a normal classroom, you have your different rules. So they're learning 2 different rules in all kinds of, in the specials. Everybody's learning something different. But when they come in there, best believe they're going to know exactly what to do if you model to them.
Ooh, okay. I thank you. Thank you. I said I was going to throw you an alley-oop. You just you just, I don't even know what kind of alley oop that was, but I'm gonna throw it down. So meet the teacher. Um, so I'm gonna poke at it because it's about helping everybody. So you said something so critical about I can meet you and we can get the expectation. Watch this about what's going to happen in this class, in my class, right?
Mhm.
If I'm that parent, I'm like, oh, I'm like, yes. Now, how you do this is important, but this also can be the opportunity. And I'm gonna use Miss Keisha. She gave the example. I can be as a parent. I be like, you know what, Miss Keisha, man, this is incredible. Thank you for just laying everything out. I know what the expectation is for little Susie, and but that's something I need to share with you that I think would be so helpful. Um, you know, I'm a single parent now. Me and little Susie mom, we just got a divorce, and it's been a rough summer for her. She's still kind of dealing with it. So if you kind of see her despondent or maybe not getting along like the other kids, I want you to know that could be the reason why. Just something as small as that, it
Mhm.
gives you,
Yeah.
I don't want to just use the word advantage because that's not the right word. It gives you a place to be able to teach at another level with little Susie. So now you're not trying to figure out what's going on with the young lady. You already go in knowing that she's dealing with this. So it helps you, right? It helps you troubleshoot, right? I think, wow, life troubleshooting is a natural part of life. Having to correct people is a natural part of life, especially little people, young people. I have a house full of electronics and gadgets and you name it. If my wife was on here, she really share her feelings about it. This is my point. On all of them, I put warranties on everything. But as much as I know about all of these gadgets, there are times where I still have to troubleshoot them in order to get them to function the way they are designed.
Mhm.
And what I'm saying and what they're saying, parents, it's your child.
Mhm.
Now, all things being equal, we do spend more time with them than the teacher. But during the school year, the teacher spends more time with them than you do. So wouldn't it be fair to the teacher to give her information? Because Ms. Keisha said, now we don't want to know everything that's going on at home. I'm not saying that, but key things that you know that is going to affect or has affected the kid, I need to let coach know. Man, he's the first semester, he's been a good kid. Now the second semester, it's like, what did y'all do to him over the Christmas break? Well, coach don't know his grandfather died. Like that's it, it's like, hey man, you know what? I'm gonna send him an email. Maybe I can't go see him, but coach, I just want you to know that listen, man, Brian, you probably notice he's a little despondent, not he's I'm gonna tell you what's going on. He's not being disrespectful, he's not trying to be a loner. His grandfather passed away. And so I just want you to know. So in your teaching approach, you'll know how to reach him. Like it's little bitty things that will give teachers the power to be able to teach. But if you don't know that, man, you're trying to figure out what's you spending a lot of extra time, a lot of extra energy trying to figure out what's going on with this kid that's been like a model student, right? This is the thing we have to understand in this season that we live in, our children have just as many problems as adults. I mean, it's stuff that they're dealing with, right? And this, I wouldn't say when I was a kid it was that way. I mean, I had the things I had to deal with, but it wasn't on a level that my mom. But now, man, these kids have gone through COVID. It's like adults going through it, right? So all I'm saying is I want to put these scenarios out to get parents to think maybe it's something I could do that could help this process, right? So we have to be agents of change, right? I'm not going to put it into Keisha's hand as the teacher, and I'm not going to put it in Jonathan's hand as a teacher. I want to have this open dialect where we can talk And then I want the teacher to have a trust and a confidence and a belief in me, just like I have a trust and a confidence in them. Go ahead, Jay.
Just to kind of piggyback on what you said, just about just that open dialogue, because as a teacher, I got to make sure that every time I call is not negative.
Absolutely.
You know? But also, you as
wait. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say that one more time, because I think that's so important, man. Thank you for saying it. Just go ahead and say that one more time, man.
Yeah,
that's important.
Every time I call, it's not negative. So tell you two quick stories. One instance this year, there's a girl in mine. I have a student who I'm going to make her take 3 AP classes next year.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been going back and forth. It's kind of been a running joke in my class with me and her, because she'll score a 92 on the test. And, I'll tell her, like, all right, you know where you belong, right? And she'll do this thing where she don't want it. Right now, she's dealing with a lot of her friends are not on the level she's at.
Right.
So she don't want to leave her friends. So, I mean, we're having deeper conversations about it's a time and place for everything. It's a time to be with your friends, it's a time to hang out, but it's also a time to be around some kids you might not vibe with as much socially, but y'all are on the same level. You should be thinking with them, you should be collaborating with them, because that's where you are. So you don't have to dumb yourself down to fit in, right. Which is, and she's not catching it, but I'm gonna call home and tell her mama that on Monday, because I just want her, and maybe I don't know if her mom knows how far ahead she is, right? And then just projecting her, if she gets around kids that are on her level, like where she could be going to high school. So I think just calling home and having those conversations. And then the second instance I can think of is one of my basketball players. He got into a fight at school, but he was sucker punched. And so they came and got me, and they showed me the video. And it's unfortunate. They suspended him, but administration told the father if he would have just laid on the floor, he wouldn't have been suspended. And I said, I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, this kid came behind him and hit him, and you want him to, and that could lead, you lay on the floor defenseless, that could lead to all type of stuff. So I called the dad, I called his father, and I just checked on him, that night, because I didn't like the way that played out. Aside forget basketball, like he was suspended for the next game, but I wasn't really concerned about that. I just wanted his father to know that I didn't agree with that either, because sometimes if you get certain interactions from a person, and that's why it's so pivotal what we're doing. If you get certain interactions from a person at that school, that could be your impression of the entire school. Like they all like that.
Yes.
They all don't care about my kid. They all trying to send them to an alternative school. They all trying to, and I just want them to know that even though I am employed by these, by these people, that I'm glad your son did what he did. And I'm just checking on him to make sure he's okay. So I think having those interactions create a sense of community. So in addition to open house and showing, just every time we talk, or every time we interact, or every time I'm keeping you up to date with something, it's not always bad. So then if I do have to make a call about something that happened, then you just know where I'm at, and we can collaborate. So
I love that. That's one of the things that's been in my prayer. Lord, give the teachers the ability to see and the ability to push. And you just touched it. You see a young lady whose potential is here, but she's cool with living life here. Mm-hmm. You can't just push without seeing. Like, I'm a jokester just by nature. My wife she's not a jokester, right? So in the early days of our marriage, what I thought was funny, she didn't think was funny. Why? Because I was just always pushing. But I had to learn to see. Now she's more open to do those type of things with me because I've taken the time to see. See just mean she ain't like me, but I see those things where there she's compatible or things where we can meet. And so for a teacher, teacher has a teachers have to have vision beyond what you learned in college. Oh man. You um you and ooh,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
get in trouble. I know it, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I hope. Well, let me say it this way because I want to be as respectful as possible. Because you shared the story, you didn't know you wanted to be a teacher, but
Mhm,
you got put into a situation, you got put into a solution that exposed the teacher in you.
mhm,
So I'm not talking about that. But if you are picking teaching as a job to take care of you and your family, I think you should choose another profession.
yeah,
In my humble opinion, I think teachers come with seeing. I don't. Maybe you can develop it. Maybe you can. I'm not necessarily sure, but I think as a teacher, you should come with seeing. You're taught. You see it on social media, on the internet, on TV. Everybody is push, 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 push. Right now, what's one of the most popping and most popular fields right now? Everybody is a motivational speaker, a life coach, or some kind of coaching champion, and that's what. But I
yeah,
promise you, over 90% of those people have no vision. They don't have the ability to see. They're taking advantage of a field, and they may have some gifts and talents in that place. And it's so easy to do this. But most of those people, they don't have the ability to see. What we need in this hour are more teachers that can see. Like, like you said, so when your kid is in my class, I may not know the specifics, but because I can see,
yeah.
right? I can see my pushing changes, right? And
Mhm,
so the pushing is going to look like I'm going to push, I'm going to push this relationship with the parents rather than pushing the kid.
mhm,
Because
yeah,
I will tell you this, um, we know in HISD, kids have taken their own lives. Kids have tried to take their own lives. And some of that comes from the wrong push, whether it be from students, whether it be from life or whatever it be. So the responsibility of having kids now, like you just, it's not a normal time where things are just what they were. We have to, and I don't want to turn this into a Bible study, but we're taught that we're to be sober and vigilant. In other words, I understand the temperature of the times that I'm in. I understand the environment. So whatever that seeing is for teachers is so important, right? Now, I also say this is fair. You went to school and you learned, and they taught you how to prepare for classroom, to do lessons, and all of those things. One of the things I think that is so unfair, so unfair, and I know we're gonna have to get a solution to it so we can maintain and preserve our teachers. Is it's just not fair that the teacher has to be everything. Like the number one responsibility, they should be able to be focused on teaching. But dang it, you have to be a mental health professional. You have to be a doctor to know COVID symptoms and keep up with masks. And then you have to have a black belt in karate, and you have to be a security officer. Then you have to be Uncle Bobo, and you have to be aunt. I mean, it's a lot to be a teacher. So please, when you hear me saying these things, it's not that I'm insensitive to it, but there is a sweet spot where we could all come, and there can be the betterment for our school campuses. It can be the betterment for our teachers, and definitely it has to be better for our families and communities. Go ahead, Ms. Keisha. I want you to jump in there. I see you. I see you. I don't see your thoughts, but I see it working up there.